Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the world famous podcast Beating the Press. Two great hosts, Kristian and myself, Ty. We thought we'd mix it up a little bit this week and we'd go with underrated footballers in the Premier League. So that's going to be the podcast, but we thought we'd change it a bit and not just reel off the players. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from a 1 to 11, but it's going to be sort of the last 5 years-ish. We're not going to go like sort of in the 90s and stuff. So we're basically going to go through 1 to 11. We're both going to put a player forward. Well, I say both. One of us, we'll go through it. We'll put a player forward, and if we disagree with it, we both get two super picks. So if he decides, for example, I don't know, Leighton Baines, I know he doesn't play anymore, and I say, argument's sake, Andrew Robertson, we can, and we both not budging, we can get a super pick. So if I use my super pick for Robertson, then I wouldn't be able. I could have only got one more use for it further on for the rest of the team. So without further ado, let's give it a go. We'll start with the goalkeeper.
I think it's quite important before we start that we don't choose any more than two Liverpool players because obviously this is subjective, but the bias will absolutely come in because I've thought of about 5 Liverpool players, so we're only going to pick 2 Liverpool players.
Yeah? That's fair enough, yeah.
Yeah. Go right. So goalkeeper. I actually came up with a couple. Got Patricio from Wolves and Dubravka from Newcastle. If I was going to go with one over the other, I'd say Dubravka, just because of the amount of shots that he actually faces. Have you got any suggestions on?
No, Dubravka was mine as well. Just to let everyone know, we don't know who we've picked, by the way, so this is just off the cuff. We normally do everything off the cuff because we just feel it comes across a lot more natural and better. So I went Dubravka because I remember Benitez bought him, fucking Peters, like 2 million from wherever. I think it was Slavia Prague or somewhere, and he was just absolute. I mean, he's been class. I mean, you never see him on Match of the Day throwing any wickets, and he's playing for a pretty shit team. Apologies, Geordie Shaw. I've got about 3 players from Newcastle playing for the team. So yeah, but yeah, no, and he's good, So yeah, I think he's an absolute. Yeah, he never gets any of the praise that he deserves. I mean, I remember Henderson went at Sheffield United last season. He was getting quite a bit of praise, whereas Dubravka not a lot. He's not. Yeah. He hasn't got.
I think he only dropped one clanger. It was quite distinctive. It might have been a last-minute goal last season, or it might have even been the season before, but ridiculously underrated, and for the amount that they paid for him, I think
it's just a really interesting point you made there. He didn't throw any clangers, so I think so. If he threw the amount of clangers De Gea threw last season, he'd have been out the door. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the fact that he's not worth, they haven't paid how much ever, 40, 50 million, how much ever they paid for De Gea. He's obviously 2 million. We're gonna. Yeah, that's interesting. That but yeah, no. So we're gonna go with Dubravka anyway.
Yeah. So do you want to? Actually, I'll continue to go with mine, and then you can you can jump in. So I went with 2 again. I'm gonna go with Pereira from Leicester at right back, or Ender Stevens. And the reason why I mentioned Ender Stevens is because I don't think we would look at Sheffield United otherwise, and because like last season they were incredible, and I think it'd be wrong for us just to completely dismiss any one of their back 4 from last season as an underrated player, because if you think about their full 11, you could probably name that they were all underrated last season. Like they overperformed, and no one in reality knows the full 11.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that, but I mean, with me being a football nut, I do.
Yeah, I know you do.
And the fact
that the average fan like me.
I mean, yeah, I'm when I say I'm a football nut, I used to work in Sheffield and with some Sheffield United fans, so with them banging on about him all the time, so that's probably why I got it. But it's interesting. Ricardo Pereira is a right back, and Edna Stevens was a left wing back. Do you know what I mean? So they're two sort of obviously defensive players, and which one way you're going to go, but. I mean, we're going to play Stevens at left back. I think we're going to play 4-3-3, and I actually think so we're looking at that side. I mean, for me, I think Edna Stevens brilliant, and I think Lucas Digne as well. But I don't know if I could put him as an underrated player because he's already he's played for Barca, he's played for a top team, so he's known. But yeah, I mean,
Just to clarify again, this is totally winged. We're just going from fullback to fullback. This is not like Dream Team where we can just choose any defenders anywhere. No.
No. We're actually gonna go. We're gonna have some sort of formation. We can't just. I think. Yeah. So that's probably.
I like Van Aanholt. I like him. The left
back, so that's who I had as my left back, Van Aanholt. So he was my pick. So obviously you got Ed Stevens. So it's up to you which way do you want to go.
I'm not that passionate about Ender Stevens, but I think he does deserve a mention.
He'll get a mention. We'll go with Van Aanholt. So right backs, you already got Ricardo Pereira. Funnily enough, So I mean, he's another one. I mean, I had him in there, but he's on those sort of like he's well known anyway. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Do I go with him and stick with him? So I think Pereira absolutely. But for me, the other one was Tariq Lamptey. But Lamptey's like he's quite well known. You know, his potential. But for me, I'd have Lamptey, and obviously if you want to go with
just a quick
Pereira,
question: would you say Wan-Bissaka is underrated?
No, I think he's overrated and everything. I think he defensively. I mean, we spoke about this before, where you watch him make these tackles, he's always brilliant. He's sliding and his last ditch for everything. There's technical deficiencies in his defending, and then when he gets in the final third, his crossing is fucking shit. I mean, I think his strong point. I mean, he used to be a winger, and you can see that in his play when he's playing. When he got the ball at his feet and he's driving, he can go past players. But then it's sort of the stuff that he gets when he gets in the final third. I just know I wouldn't have him there. For me, it's between I'd have Tariq Lamptey, but you're obviously Ricardo Pereira. I don't know how passionate you are.
I'm not passionate on Ricardo Pereira. Like I agree with you. He is probably known as one of the better right backs in the league.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll concede on that.
Cool. So we got Tariq Lamptey and Van Aanholt as our fullbacks. We've got Dubraft at the back.
Yeah, but we can put Ender Stevens there if you want.
I'm happy with Van Aanholt. Van Aanholt was my choice, so we're gonna go with that.
No, I mean we'll shut him at right back.
No, we're gonna have proper. We're not gonna have footballers opposite side of the other wing.
I'm telling you, inverted fullbacks is the next thing that Pep's going
to do. It was gonna inverted fullbacks. Trust me. Imagine that in the airline says, "Yes, I want to do an inverted fullback session," and I'm like, "Oh, just no, it stops." Come on. Yeah. Can you imagine? I mean, we're just going off topic here, but I mean, can you imagine a left-footed right back? I can't. I just don't think I've ever. No. I've known of plenty of right-footed left backs, but left-footed right back, it's just a no. It's just weird, and it's no. It just confuses my brain as well. Thinking about it.
I often have like again. I'm just going off slightly, but we often have this conversation. Me and my brother, we have these crazy conversations, and we discussed what is going to be the next big change or the next thing, theoretically, that Pep Guardiola tries to bring in. We were on about like inverted fullbacks. So, if he does, then you heard it here first.
Yeah. Yeah. So, right, we're going to move on to centre halves, and I'm going to throw my first in. Again, I don't think is he underrated? I don't know. It's tough because the Premier League gets so much exposure anyway. But Ben Dunk for me. On Brighton, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've got Dunk wrote down.
Have you? All right.
Ben Dunk. Is it Lewis Dunk?
Oh, sorry, Lewis Dunk. I was thinking, I had Ben White in here, and I've got him, and I've combined them. But so we're going Lewis Dunk.
You both of them.
Yeah, no, yeah. So that's our Brighton quarter fully done as well. So we don't want to go too much with Brighton, but I think Lewis Dunk, absolutely deserves. That's right. So if we both got him.
I've got him, but I've got about 7 others in there.
Go on then. Just let's have a quick mention.
Yeah, so I've got Johnny Evans,
a
player that I didn't really like before, like too recent, but he's just top class, I think, for where he's at. Willy Bolly, I thought he's a decent defender. He's a steady defender. He probably overperforms for his ability, not overperforms for the club. He'd probably be your most improved player. One of those awards that you get at your club.
Yeah.
That no fucker wants. For me, I would have Joe Matip, but I'm not sure on Joe Matip because we know him as world class if he could stay fit. But I think a lot of other fans from other clubs don't really understand how good this guy is, Joe Matip.
Yeah.
But if I was going to go with I was thinking of someone like Jack O'Connell, or Keane. I'm going to go with Keane from Everton.
Nah,
just on this season.
I mean, obviously, Matip, I think I agree. I think he's underrated by other fans. They don't appreciate. He reminds me of, do you know, this is sort of, you'd remember this sort of late 90s and early 2000s when Ronnie Johnson used to play for Man United. And Yapstam was the main one, was like the Van Dijk, he was the main centre half, and Ronnie Johnson used to sort of come in every now and again, and him and David Main. And I think just Ronnie Johnson wasn't rated by everyone else, and Man United fans, and I think as seasons grew, he seems to get the recognition that he deserved. But I'm not going to use I'm going to go with Johnny Evans, because I genuinely think he would still be brilliant for Man United. And he'd walk into that team. I think Johnny Evans would still be Man United's best centre half now. Why they got rid of him, I don't know.
Over Maguire?
Yeah. I think you watch him, I think ex-Man United players, pundits, so they just rate him highly. I think he's still really underrated, and I think he's one of those players. He's obviously scored the own goal against Liverpool, but
cracking
on goal. But the work he does for Northern Ireland as well. You know what I mean? So I just think, Johnny Evans for me.
I agree with that.
So Lewis, so we've got our back five. Dubravka, we've gone with Lamptey, Van Aanholt, and then we've gone with Lewis Dunk and Johnny Evans, our centre halves. Yeah. Okay, let's go with our three midfielders.
Okay, so I'm going to go with Højbjerg from Tottenham.
Right.
Is that how you say his name?
Yeah. I'm unconvinced. I'm not sure. That's mine. Right.
So I'm gonna I'll reel off some names.
Yeah.
And then we'll say it. So Moutinho.
I think he's known anyway. I can't have him. He's known around the world. Not having.
Bernardo Silva.
Not having that. He's known like around the world. Yeah. No, but
he's known around the world. He's known around the world. But I know like some of my guys at work, two of them Man City fans, do not rate Bernardo Silva as Man City.
Yeah, I think underrated. We're talking about players that probably just don't get. Bernardo Silva's had moments where, the season before last, he was just like. So I'm not having that, but go and carry on.
Douglas Luiz for Aston Villa.
I was thinking about that. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that one.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Jordan Henderson. That is going to be one of my super picks.
Yeah.
Gini Wijnaldum.
Yeah.
Could have quite easily have been a super pick. And James Ward-Prowse. I think that about wraps it up.
I had four in. I had Wijnaldum, James Ward-Prowse, Ndidi, and Henderson. So I want to put Ndidi in, because I'm not going to have Højbjerg, because I just don't think he's much. I think he's great. I think Ndidi's a really good player. So he's going to be, unless I'll have him as a holding midfielder, and then you can have the two midfielders either side.
So we're pushing Jordan slightly further.
On the right, yeah. That's his favourite position as well. He likes to play on the 8 on the right hand side. So
on the left, we seem to have agreed on maybe James Ward-Prowse just for them free kicks.
Yeah, it's probably not his right position, but just to get him in. And I don't want Wijnaldum to. I think Wijnaldum's massively underrated as well. But having said that, massively underrated, he's obviously Dutch captain now that Van Dijk's not there. Barca want him, so there's got to be a bit of realism in there. And Henderson again. I think it's a tough one. No doubt people, all our subscribers and likers under there will be commenting. Well, he won PFA Player of the Year last year, so he's not underrated. But I think fans, when they watch him play for England, I think that's probably where and they say, "Oh, you're past it side," but they don't understand the game. I always say that about fans who just do that. They just see in the simplest form. You watch Klopp, watch Liverpool when Henderson plays, they're just a different team.
It's just one of these players where opinion is changed from game to game. Like obviously we obviously see the impact that when he misses Liverpool games, we generally tend to struggle, in particular towards the end of last season. And obviously the season Gerrard slipped, he took a knock. He actually got suspended.
Sent off against Man City game, and it cost us.
Yeah, and he was even influential back then. So like England, he had a good game, and then he's in he's decent play, he's in the team, and then all of a sudden England fans turn him on the net, like from game to game. So absolutely, but there was one that I wanted to throw in, but just a special mention, James Milner. the underrated player of probably the Premier League history.
Yeah. How has a guy like that played at the top level for some of the biggest clubs in the country, in Europe, performed regularly for all sorts of managers, and yet is relied upon in the biggest games? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, again, it comes down to those people who think they know the game but they don't, and they just think, oh, he's going to bring a lot to the game. He brings so much. I mean, I'm not going to smash out the cliches of experience, leadership and all that. I think his ability is just second to none. I mean, he's one of those players that you would absolutely... I mean, we've obviously got a lot of injuries at the moment. Comes in, does a job at right back, does a job at left back, centre midfield, just plays anywhere, and he'll always give you a 7, 8 out of 10. Do you know what I mean? And I just think he's just, I think he's really, really underrated. So midfield is Henderson, Ndidi and Ward-Prowse, you said, didn't you? Is that what we went with?
Yeah. Cool. That's what we're going with, yeah.
Okay, so we've got our wingers and a number 9. I want to go first with my number 9. Now, this is another one, and I don't know. I've not used my super pick yet, so I could be throwing one in here. And I'm just going to throw one in, and then you can decide if he's underrated or if he's not. That's Raul Jimenez at Wolves. Or is he too well known? I just think I don't think he gets the credit he deserves, because I was going to
go with Jimenez, but I don't think I think that he is recognised as a top striker.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay.
So yeah. Have you got any others lined up? You can have that as your super pick. Don't get me wrong, but I just think he's quite recognised. Like, because obviously when you mention underrated, you've got to assess like a few different factors. So obviously you've got to assess the club that they're at, and are they playing at that level or above that level or below that level? Obviously, to make them overrated. Obviously he's playing, I'd say, above Wolves. So that tells me obviously that he's probably underrated. But I just don't. I think there'll be a lot of clubs that are after him. But yeah, feel free to have him as your super pick if you think that he's underrated.
I'm not gonna lie. I had a few others in my head like Calvert-Lewin and Ings, but I'm thinking they already are sort of recognised. Do you know what I mean? And Jimenez, they were all much, but I just thought Jimenez was better than all of them.
Well, so. I actually had Ings as well. That was another one what I thought of. But I think that he falls in the bracket of Jimenez.
Well known,
like,
yeah.
We know Ings is of a quality because we had him at Liverpool. He was Liverpool with quality, but he just could not get in the team because we have slightly better quality and obviously through injuries. But I'll just throw some at you. Obviously, you've still got a couple of others, but I'm going to go with Bobby Firmino. Olivier Giroud.
Superb shout.
Almiron from Newcastle. Gabriel Jesus. Mikel Antonio. And Son from obviously Tottenham.
Not going to have Son. Is known around the world as top notch. Don't have Son.
He was probably underappreciated before the last couple.
Who did you say after Firmino? And I was just like, wow.
Yeah. So Giroud.
That's it. Sorry. So the two that I'm like, you've told me, and I'm like, wow, my head's turned.
It's all right.
I know. Yeah, it's Giroud and Michael Antonio, and I think both of them. I think Giroud I still think is Chelsea's best striker, with Abraham and Werner. And we talk about different. Werner's obviously quick and he can play out wide, and I think when it comes to his actual finishing and hold up play, Giroud is probably the best in the league.
I'm actually surprised that you didn't choose him, because the reason why he propped up in my mind is because of your tweet last night. Follow us on Twitter, by the way.
Yeah.
You mentioned how Olivier Giroud, I think.
Giroud's Chelsea's best striker. Yeah.
That's
it's mad because I saw him. I thought Jimenez, and I just sort of stuck with him straight. And I didn't even. I had like Ings, and I didn't really think of Giroud, but I'm going to throw Giroud up top. Actually, I'm going to go with Giroud as I'm going to use that as my super pick. Giroud's my 9. Yeah. So you can use what we can use. You can use Antonio as a winger because I like Antonio, but that's up to you. So.
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%. Antonio 100% goes in for me.
Stick him on the right wing.
Yeah, obviously he got injured just before Liverpool v West Ham, and I was absolutely buzzing. Obviously we had a young lad at the back. I think it was the young lad. Did we have Nat Phillips at the back?
Nat Phillips, yeah.
Yeah,
No, but that was Sebastian Haller played that game up front, didn't he? And I was the same when Antonio wasn't playing. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, I can't believe, because I've always kind of rated Antonio, but this season obviously starting fire. That goal, I think it was against City. It was kind of like a little bit of an overhead kick.
Yeah.
Quality goal, and he just runs the channel so well. He's so strong, and when he's on it, he's absolutely brilliant. Massively underrated. So he was definitely going to be my super pick.
So we've got one position left. You've got a winger. Pick a winger. So we've got a winger. Go on, and you go.
Yeah. So
what have you got?
I would have loved to have had Bobby Firmino on there, because he's someone that I myself have struggled with as a Liverpool fan recently. It's kind of testing you a little bit because of how bad his form has been. But we also know what he brings to the table. Fans are going to go what he brings to the table. Other fans, but we generally know. So a special mention to Bobby. But I think, again, you've got Almiron, Gabriel Jesus, and I do think that he's a bit underrated. He goes under the radar because of what Sergio Aguero does. The other ones that I had were Ayew from Crystal Palace.
Oh, I hate him.
You might hate him, but he's a good player.
I know. I just think he's shit. No, I'm not having that. I'm not having him. No.
Patrick Bamford was my other one.
Oh, that's a solid no for me either. The other one that my pick, my pick was going to be Jack Harrison from Leeds, and on left, and I think he's he's obviously scored against Liverpool in the first game, and I just think he's been really, really good. I think if he plays a few more, it'll be. And you talk about a special mention for Firmino. There's a player that's just sort of was in my midfield, and I'm obviously not putting forward, was Souček for West Ham, and I think he's going to become. And I think Moyes really like him. It feels like he's going to be his Fellaini because he's really good in the air and he's a threat going forward. You know what I mean? It allows them to beat the press by going direct. He can push on a bit more, and I think it works well. But I think he's going to be a top player.
You can either have that. You can have that as a super pick, or we can put in another midfielder.
Well, I'll go with Harrison. I don't want my I'd like my team to have some balance. I don't like those match the teams of the week when the fucking players are all over the place. It just hurts my head. There's no balance, no shape to it. You've got a left-footed right back. You've got you've got like an actual out-and-out winger. Like got Mahrez playing at left wing back and stuff. It's like, what are you doing? It just hurts my head. So that is the team, but we'll go through
the team. Yeah. So we're going to go with an underrated manager as well.
Oh, right, okay. It's tough now, isn't it? Because all the managers, everyone gets good exposure on TV. Everyone's on there, and everyone knows everyone. But for me, I think a manager that has done really well and is currently getting a bit of stick. I mean, he's obviously had a result recently. Is Sean Dyche. You know what I mean? I don't think it's any. Yeah. It's not surprised me. I feel like any manager you pick, they're gonna do that. He was one, and then the other one was Graham Potter, and I think both of them. The reason why I've picked both of them is they both play different styles of football, but they're so adamant that this is how we're gonna play. Sean Dyche hasn't wavered from the way he's gonna play. They're quite a direct team, but I don't think they get enough credit for the way they play. And then whereas you've got Graham Potter, who plays the more sort of what we'd call is the more European expansive style of play, where he plays the same regardless of who he's playing against, and then and I think he's done really well from we took over from Kristian's style of play was obviously a bit more defensive, speaking to sort of like Brighton fans. And Potter's obviously come a bit more, and I think if it was between them two, and I'd probably say for the team we've picked and how it's a bit more sort of creative and we've got a bit more attacking fullbacks, I think we're going to go. Well, I'll go with Graham Potter. So.
No, that's a great summary. I was actually going to go with Graham Potter. Firstly, I thought of Jurgen Klopp because I absolutely believe that guy is still underrated. Yeah. He's won everything there is. He's still underrated. He's got in my eyes. But I'm going to go with obviously Graham Potter. I think like you, he's a top young manager. I think he could just go into Arsenal, and I think he'd improve upon what Arteta's doing there.
Big shout.
It's a big shout, but obviously Arteta's done his time with Guardiola. He's learned under him, but Potter hasn't had that experience, and he still manages to, get his players playing a certain way that I don't think is too dissimilar to what Arteta's trying to achieve at Arsenal.
Right, so to wrap it up, I'm going to go through. This is our final 11, 1 to 11, with the couple of mentions. We'll put them as our subs. And we've obviously got the manager as well. So we've got Dubravka in goal, Lamptey and Van Aanholt are our fullbacks. We've got Lewis Dunk and Johnny Evans as our centre halves. 3 in the middle, Henderson, Ndidi and Ward-Prowse. And then the 3 up top, we've got Antonio, Giroud and Jack Harrison. Couple of special mentions of Bobby Firmino and Tommy Soucek, with Graham Potter as our manager. And that concludes this week's special.
Obviously this is all subjective, so don't be screaming in the comments, this is my favourite player's better. Just put it in the comments and just let us know what your players are, who you would change out, who you would put in. That would be great.
Please do. So like, subscribe, all that jazz under there. And if you're going to disagree with it, I'm sure you will, because again it's subjective. There's a couple that we've disagreed on, but we've kept it nice as much as we can. We only use one super pick, so happy days.
Jordan Pickford, I forgot about Jordan Pickford.
He's dog shit, you don't even dare. It's all about the jokes. Right, okay, that's this week's episode all wrapped up and done. Let us know what you thought. We've tried it, we've gone 1 to 11 now. If it's good and you like it, and we might try it again on a different subject. But until next week, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.
See you later.